Okay, well, here we are getting ready to go in the Idaho week, and just recapping. Obviously it was extremely frustrating Saturday night for us this last Saturday. Disappointed in the outcome of the game. Obviously, we've had a lot of time to talk about, reflect, bring the guys in. We've had our team meetings, and the biggest thing about it that I think that we've talked about as far as moving on now to Idaho is, I think there was 25 deals I typed up in the game that really were non-physical. They were all mental mistakes that we made that really, really hurt us. I mean, 5 false starts inside the red zone. We had a bad snap in there. Then we had turnovers. We had 3 fumbles during the game that we lost. That's equal to the exact amount we had the entire season last year. Very uncharacteristic for our teams. And, when all those things add up and you look at all the missed opportunities, it's one of those deals where you have to really self-reflect and say, hey, what was it that got in our way of being so unfocused at times in the game? I mean, we had an opportunity to come back. We did. We extended the lead, really played poor towards the end of the game, especially tackling, way too many rushing yards given up. Again, something that at least in the past had been pretty uncharacteristic for us, but obviously this season we're starting from scratch on that. So great thing is you didn't physically get beat up in a game like that. Mentally, you kind of stepped on your own foot and tripped over yourselves a couple of times, and and that resulted in the outcome. So those are all things that can be fixed. So now again, you snap, you clear, you move on. It's Idaho week. This is a team that's won 10 of the last 10 of 14 games. They've done a heck of a job, building that program. When he got there, he was a very similar situation. I think they had 6 wins after 3 years, and now he's sitting there, winning 10 games of the last, 14 games. So he's done a heck of a job of building that program up from scratch, and it's kind of it's who we take on this week. So Linehan, their quarterback, does a phenomenal job. We saw that last year, his different abilities, and he's just got such a savvy to him. And he's a great football player. He's a tough guy, takes a lot of shots, but he stays on his feet, delivers balls. We got to do a great job of watching him, doing a better job of holding our rush lanes. We're going to have to make sure we defend the deep ball against him. Last year, they were a big-time first down shot team. They took a bunch of shots in first down, held up in the first half, and the second half gave too many up. Offensively, when we look at their defense, that they're kind of a bend but don't break. I mean, they're more aggressive than that, but they keep the game in front of them. They don't give up a lot of big plays. They do a really good job of tackling. So they're going to make you extend drives. They're going to make you drive down the field, make you be mistake-free. So you're going to have to earn everything. So that's one of the biggest things, us being really efficient on first down so we get more manageable third downs. That was something, again, on Saturday night, we struggle a little bit on third downs, but when you're in third and longs, you're going to struggle. So we got to do a better job on first down, getting ourselves in some of those manageable third down situations. Like the way Armani played the other night. I thought he did a really good job going 11 of 19. 2 of the incompletions were spikes, but 11 of 19, 220 yards, didn't have an interception, ran for 90-some-odd yards, extended plays. I mean, that's a pretty good game as a freshman starting off. He definitely did a lot to help us win that game. And this week, now we can kind of take the gloves off. We've seen him. We saw his level of comfort. He wasn't jittery out there. Thought he executed some really good things. So we can really extend him a little bit as far as what we're asking him to do. So that'll be a big deal. We're going to be most likely without Charles Williams this week. He had that ankle injury, so he'll most likely be out. Did not practice today, and we'll see. He's in a walking boot right now. But Lexington Thomas had a heck of a night, 150 yards rushing. We expect him to continue to do what he does. Xavier Campbell came in, did a great job. Evan Owens is right there behind him, Trey Collinsworth. So we're not hurting there at all by any means. Just got to clean some things up. So if we do so, we feel like we got a great opportunity to go on out there and and go get a W. And the great thing about football and these guys sitting right next to me is, when everybody else is kind of going nuts and pulling their hair out and they don't know what to do. It's game 1 of a 12-game season. A lot of football to go. In this rebuild process, we're fine. When I look at our guys, the thing about it that's a little different than the past is there's no reason to panic. We have a talented group of kids. We've got guys that can play this game and do it at a high level. I have full faith in them. We're going to get after them a little bit, but full faith in them. They're going to come out and play a lot more mistake-free and clean football and go out there and be ready to go right off the bat.
Coach, given how much you put into the culture, brand, and identity in these 3 years, what was it like to see UNLV on the wrong side of history and getting those national headlines for reasons that you didn't want?
Well, yeah, when you live in Vegas, too, there's going to be even more, kind of more in your face when it comes to that. It's funny. I honestly, at the time, had no idea what that whole margin was. That was pretty funny looking at it. It stinks, and I don't care who you play. You go out and you lose the first game, that's a tough pill to swallow after the whole offseason working out, and half of the country has to deal with it. But then when you lose and you're playing a 1AA school, you're expecting to win that game. You make the amount of mistakes that we did, and you come back from being down and not playing well. It looks like you're starting to pull away. Then it rears its ugly head again. And it's a tough thing because you got to really look at yourself and say, where are we at? What do we need to do to fix this? You expect some mistakes in week one. You expect some jitters and a little nervous energy, but not to the extent that we had. You look at a year ago, right? We had more rushing yards in the game Saturday. We had more passing yards in the game Saturday. We had a better statistical offensive night, yet nowhere near as many points, nowhere near as clean. It just shows the differences in those things. So, again, they're things that are fixable, and that's why you're not worried. It's different when you're watching film and you're getting beat up all over the place and guys are lining up wrong and you just can't handle it physically out there. That wasn't the case at all. It was literally us getting in our own way. So those are things that can be fixed. But like I said, there's 11 games to go. There's a lot of football to go. We're a team that, we've done a lot of talking and a lot of hype, and that's all part of it, and I'm glad we did. But at the end of the day, we've got to go and prove that we can do it on a consistent basis. You sit there and you look in this turnaround process. God, the last two predecessors after 3 years, had one less win than we do, and we played one game in the year 3. So we're ahead of that. We just got to stay focused. Don't allow yourself to listen to the outside noise. Focus on the task at hand. And you're going to be fine. So it's one of those deals. It's just messaging. And then for our guys, they got to be focused on Idaho right now. They shouldn't be worried one bit about it. That's my job as a head coach. I got to sit up here and answer the tough questions and give reasons why. And that's my job. I get it. I got to own that, right? But for these guys, it's about them moving on, focusing, and getting ready for Idaho.
If you're able to win Saturday, what would that mean as far as maybe getting back on track?
Well, winning Saturday is huge now. Again, you have that tough loss, and now all of a sudden, you walk around with a little bit, heavier, burden on you, but that's. I think regardless who we lost to on Saturday, we'd feel the same. When you believe in what you're doing and you're good at what you do, it's not who you lost to, it's the way in which you go about it. We could have played a great team and had the same amount of mistakes and lost by even worse. I'd probably feel the exact same way I do now. So we do need to win this game to get ourselves back on track. It's a good football team. It definitely isn't a gimme. We learned that last year, and you've seen what they've done in this, in these 10 wins that they've had, as of late. They're a pretty good football team. So it's going to be a tough game to win, but you know what? We're more than capable of doing it. We got the guys that can do it. We just got to be explosive and sustain on offense, limit the penalties, do a better job against the rush on defense, and our guys will feel good about it. We'll be one-on-one going into a bye week, hit the road recruiting, get some good practice in, and then get ready for the game after that. So it's big.
The players, what Coach talked about, mistakes, a lot of them seem correctable. How much do you feel confident you can be able to take care of that in week 2?
I'm more than confident. We come in and we've been through spring ball, we've been through fall camp, and what we saw Saturday night wasn't what we saw through our spring and our fall camp. So we just need to get on our horse and just get going.
I'm more than confident in it too. I think that's the reason we practice, right after the game every week. We practice on Sundays right after the game, and we practice throughout the week too to fix things like that.
Mike, is this an uncommon amount of pressure or urgency for week 2 in the season? It's only September 9th, but given the first week to get it done?
Yeah, I would say so. Last year we went 1-0, so coming off 0-1, it's a lot more urgency to get back on and get a W.
Devonte, what do you think of Armani's debut?
Of Armani? Yeah. I think he did great. Just being in the huddle with him and him not panicking and keeping us going. Armani, he's a young dude, but everybody still looks up to him and looks to him, and he was answering everything in the huddle with us. He kept talking to us, and I think he did awesome.
Tony, what was the reason for Tariq being on the kickoff return?
Gio Fallow had been there, and there was a substitution made in that situation there that we discussed as a staff afterwards. He probably never should have been in there at that situation. Disappointed in it, but, at the end of the day, me, I'm not going to throw people under the bus. I'm just going to, it is what it is. Should have caught the ball, but at the same time, probably shouldn't have been in the situation. Gio should have been out there, and that's what happened.
Will you give him some carries now, especially since
Yeah, well, we never planned to redshirt him. I mean, he was something that we had talked about that, so he played in the game already, but he'd been on special teams. It's just he hadn't had an opportunity to have the ball. So we've got him, he runs down on kickoff. He's on a couple of other things. He's a big physical guy, and, we had some mistake. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you had that, that muff. That was huge, right? But we did some really good things on special teams. I mean, again, you had the first one we ran off sides, but the amount of times we tackled them inside the 20 on kickoff was, something we hadn't been able to do in the past. Evan executed a really nice punt one time that pinned them back deep. You could see immediately the difference in athleticism and speed and, and the ferocity in which we played on special teams. So that was good, and he adds to that. So, I mean, Tariq's a guy that throughout the course of the year, he's a big, strong, physical guy. He'll get an opportunity, and he'll get a chance to carry the ball, too.
Coach, is there kind of a full circle feeling to this Idaho game? Because last year that was the one where you were fuming in the press conference because you thought you let one get away to a team you had superior talent to.
Yeah.
And given how the mistakes you made and lost in overtime, and here you are going to that game up there with an opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the two games you really just kind of ate at your crawl the whole offseason were the Idaho game and the Reno game. Those are the two games you sit there and you just go like, oh, we just got to, a lot of different things happen. Idaho, hats off to them, though. I mean, heck, they're a good team. I mean, I still feel like we should have, went out and played a better game, played a cleaner game. We have the turnover right off the bat to give them 7 points. We had a second turnover. We did some things that really hurt ourselves in a game we felt like, we should have won. But hats off to them. I mean, heck, they went out, won 9 games. They're a good team. So that's not taking away anything that they've done. You know what I'm saying? I think that there was kind of a misperception about Idaho going into the season. A lot different than this last game, and we don't know how Howard's going to end up. I'll say this. Their coach did a phenomenal job of getting that team ready. I thought their quarterback was extremely savvy and played a really good game. We all know how good Phila is at running back, and I think overall, again, hats off to them. They came here. I'm not putting them down at all, but that's a game we felt like we should have won. We feel like that, if we executed just eliminate half of those mistakes, eliminate a quarter of those mistakes, and it's a different football game. So we got to really own that as an entire organization, and we got to really look at ourselves from every single group. And when you looked at it, it wasn't one guy that did it. I mean, it was multiple guys that had untimely mistakes that ended up costing us collectively in the end. So some of those are young guys. You have 2 freshmen that end up, turning the ball over at times, and they're going to be all right. I mean, they're good football players. That's going to happen. There's some other things that happen from veteran guys, some of those false starts and things like that. So it's everyone just looking at themselves and being accountable and answering for it and moving on. And if we do that, we'll be fine this week.
How big is that football bank?
The idea that you should lose your job over Saturday's loss, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's absolutely absurd. I mean, I think that if you've studied first of all, it's almost, yeah, that's a funny question. I wasn't expecting that one. So again, when you look at the history of this program, I think we've done a heck of a job of building it to a point where we're as competitive as we've been over the years. Disappointing loss. It's a long game. I tell you what, Pat Rule, great friend of mine, offensive line coach, Seahawks, called me last night, and and we were sitting there talking, and there's the old story about the grandfather and the young man walking the donkey down the road, and I won't go through the whole story, but it ends up, people keep giving him advice on what he should be doing on the way down to the river. Well, they get to the river and the donkey gets washed away, and the moral of the story is, you listen to your critics, you're going to lose your ass. So we're not worried one bit about our critics.
What has the last 48 hours been like as a result of all the national media?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read a lot of it. I mean, you look at it locally. I'll be honest with you. The thing that's been phenomenal is the amount of outpouring of support that we've gotten. The amount of emails and text messages and just good people that have been supporting, people that are, that are new to this program and helping out. Some of the older people that have been around for a long time. The thing about it, everyone, and I get it, and you guys have been around me long enough to know I'm always going to be honest with you, but your job is to sensationalize things, and you do a good job at it. And and it's not that big. I mean, it's upsetting. Nobody is upset as I am about it. I mean, my name's on it. No one's upset about it more than our kids are, our coaches. This is who we are. People say, oh, it's not who we are, it's what we do. No, it's not. It's who we are. I mean, we own this. I mean, I am football. I mean, I love this game. I love my job. I love this city. I love this university for giving me the opportunity. And we've done a good job. We've done a better job than anybody else has in the last, 10 years coming into our tenure here as far as winning games. We've won more games. We've done a better job of getting things going. We've recruited at the highest level. So I'll tell you what, our kids they're gonna buck up and they're gonna be ready to go. So I'm excited about it, and I think that's just all silliness.
You have a discussion with the new athletic director following the loss?
Yeah, she came up and she said, hey, hang in there. You got a plan. Stick to your plan. We believe in you. And I heard from her again on Sunday. And President Justice has been great. See, they see the work. I mean, sometimes, again, if you show up every day and you come and you cover in the spring, and if you show up in the summer, and if you see the work we put in, and you see what we do, and you follow recruiting, and you do all that year round, then you know what? You got the right to ask the hard questions. But if you don't, it's kind of interesting because some people just show up once in a while and ask tough questions. So, at the end of the day, I'm human. Gets you fired up a little bit. But hey, we'll be fine. We just got to do our thing. We have full faith in what we're doing. We know the work we've put in. We know how we've moved the needle here. And I don't care, you're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad. And I've always believed that, and I've always lived by that. We're going to be fine. We're going to keep our head down. We're going to keep on trucking, and these boys are going to make everybody proud.
Is that comment directed at me that I'm the one that hasn't shown up, but then I do show up and ask some questions every once in a while?
No, it's a general question. I mean, it's, one of those deals when you talk about it. I mean, we can turn it into a mean you thing, but, and yeah. I guess it is what it is.
Tony, Kendall back, how big is that for you?
That'd be big. I mean, you saw him get in the game a little bit this last week, and having Kendall back now at full strength. I mean, he's got a full week of practice in, a full week of preparation in. He'll biggest thing with that is being out the weeks that he was, getting his wind back. I mean, he got tired real fast in the limited time that he saw. So having him back along with Devonte, and obviously the rest of the talented group. I mean, that's going to be a problem for defenders. So we got to make sure, again, as we give Armani more and we take more chances and we put the ball down the field more, he needs to be a big productive part.
Tony, when you talk about mental mistakes and false starts and things like that, how do you go about practicing those things or getting better at that? Can you do something on the practice field, or how do you improve in that area?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those deals where you expect competitive maturity out of your players, and when you don't see it, then it needs to be addressed. And it was addressed in the film session on Sunday night. That's one way to do it. And then on the field, you can't let anything go. I mean, anything that happens at all, I mean, you've got to address it. We had a deal today where we had one false start and immediately stopped the practice. Everybody at the line, let's go. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to fix it, but really, it's about players. I mean, I was a player. I remember that. You got to be ready to go competitively, mentally, locked in every single play. That's just, if you have any lethargicness to you or just a lack of focus, those things are going to happen. So we got to do a great job of messaging it all week, creating situations. Again, that's one of the reasons we play with the noise on at practice and things like that. You're not always going to be able to hear and communicate. It wasn't like it was, that was an issue this last game. And going inside the Kibbe Dome, sometimes even with the crowd's not huge, it can still be real loud in there. So they're going to have to do a really good job of paying attention. But again, it's not just great effort, it's a focused effort, and it's something we got to message all week.
Devonte, you won senior year and only one last chance to make your mark. I mean, can you describe your mentality as you go into this week and with a lot to prove?
My mentality is the same as it's always been. I mean, follow Coach Sanchez's lead. The team voted us as captain, so to let them know that we still in it and just stay the course. But ain't nothing changed with me. I'm still me personally. I'm still gonna play as hard as I can, and I think the team's still gonna play as hard as they can. Coach Sanchez definitely hasn't took his foot off the pedal, so we ain't take our foot off the pedal either.
Mike, their quarterback, what is about him that stands out the most to you?
He can move, and he can throw off his back foot like no other. I mean, that's what we got last year. He was throwing crazy balls just off his back foot, running out the pocket. So, like Coach Sanchez said, we got to get in our passing lanes, and we got to actually get a control of him, not let him extend plays and take pressure off our corners.
Does it help having faced him, or because there's so many new starters, is that not really a factor this week?
Say that again?
Having faced him, obviously that helps you, but you have so many new starters, is it not really the factor that maybe it would have been?
I mean, having facing him, I guess it gives us somewhat of an edge, but at the end of the day, we still got to go out there and play him.
Devonte, with their defense, what is it that your coach mentions? I think he said bend, don't break, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what stands out to you too?
Yeah, they keep a lot of things in front of them. They play like I think it's press bail a lot, and they, you know, you don't really see anybody hitting no big plays on them, and they tackle well.
Mike, can you describe the difference as a defensive player playing a quarterback like one of the Newtons, who's running all the time and escaping and elusive, versus Linehan, who's not a statue but far more of a traditional drop back guy, far more of a guy who's a bigger target?
I feel like it's somewhat the same. Like you said, he's a little bit like traditional, but he also likes to move around his feet. He won't necessarily run as much as Newton did out the pocket, but as in run for yards, he'll run out the pocket to extend plays. So I feel like it's still the same mentality as last week. We got to focus in on our technique and get off blocks and make the tackle.